Hey, everybody, welcome to the show. Our theme tonight is So You Got What You Wanted. Why is it so fucking hard?
Yes.
Getting what you want is amazing. It's great. It's wonderful. And it's
Yeah.
also really hard. And we thought
Yeah.
we would talk about that and maybe meditate about it too. Definitely meditate about it.
Yes, definitely.
We do this show every week, of course. I'm Dr. Astar Bear, my co-teacher Leah Schaefer. Um,
Hello.
we come from the tradition of Sufism, and we teach heart rhythm meditation, which is about bringing together your breath, making your breath very rhythmic, very heart centered, really working on perfecting your breath so that you have a very solid foundation to really open and explore your heart. Um, and we want to make meditation like useful, right? I mean, it should help you with your life. So every week we try to pick a theme that we think is going to be helpful. Of course, we have no idea what's going to help you guys. So we think about what's going to help us. That way, that way we.
Stop telling them how the sausage is made.
That's the behind the scenes look at how we do what we do. Um, so the thing I think about in this, is that life has a rhythm, and in Sufism, it's described as um, uh, Jalal and Jamal. So there's a kind of expressive energy, a power kind of side of life and of ourselves, right? Um, and then there's also a receptive kind of energy, right? An accepting kind of energy, right? So Jalal is that power side, and Jamal is that receptive side, right? Um, but then there's a moment, it's sort of like if you're swinging, right? You're swinging, right? There's a forward motion and a backward motion, right? But then there's a moment where you're just kind of right in between, right? And that is
Mm,
called Kamal, right? That's a state where you're in transition. Um, and so it
mm.
seems like when you get what you want, you enter this kind of Kamal state, this state of transition, and it's got a very different energy. And so that's just sort of interesting, right? Because we one of the things that we're doing in meditation is we're studying energy. We're learning about the energy within ourselves. We're learning about the energy that is out there in the world, right? And then what is the relationship between that, right? Um, and so we want to be aware to these different shifts in energy in ourselves and in the world.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. I really like this topic because I'm all about personal evolution. And so, in other words, like you as an individual being able to create and recreate and like, learn, grow, develop, explore other aspects of yourself. And I also really like this topic because I would say, like a significant like I have a fair amount of performance anxiety. And so so every time that I like go into like a new iteration of myself, so I got what I wanted. So what could that look like? So that could look like anything. It could be an opportunity has come your way that you've been waiting for a long time. It
Right.
could be that you finally get into the relationship that you always wanted. Maybe you finally moved to the place you want to be living. You got into the school you wanted to get into, or you finally like reached some pinnacle where you're like, this is the pinnacle for me. Um, and then once you get there, it's like it's this new orientation. You have to reorient yourself toward this new iteration of yourself, toward this new role, this new identity. And
Hmm.
it can feel very much like it can feel very like anxiety provoking, like, can I sustain this? Can I hold this? Am I worthy of this? Right?
Yeah.
I'm in a relationship. Am I worthy of receiving love actually? And like these kind of fundamental beliefs that come up whenever we are given this new opportunity. And so I really appreciate the topic because I think it's just like a really healthy way to look at and think about um, you know, how to sustain uh, new versions of ourselves.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of reminds me of that Oscar Wilde quote. You know, he says, "There's two tragedies in life, and one is not getting what you want, and the other one is getting it." I think that's a little bit bleak, you know, like but it's meant to be funny, right? Like we,
Wah, wah.
we want, we want fulfillment, you know. I mean, like we do want to achieve our desires. Um,
Yeah.
it's just that, you know, I think we kind of delude ourselves, you know, and we tell ourselves that, like, you know, once we get onto that mountaintop, whatever it is, that
Hmm.
life is going to be different and it's going to be perfect and it's going to, you know, it's that
Yeah.
happily ever after thing, right? That, like,
Right.
life
You
over the
finally got the
rainbow, you know?
gold. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Like, it's all
Finally got the
unicorns and
gold from the
leprechauns from here on
leprechaun.
out. And that is just never true, right? I mean, so maybe we need to think that. Maybe we need to, like, kind of have that. Maybe that's part of the process of getting there, because we need the energy, you know, like we need, and part of it is having hope, having vision, right? Believing in something. But then it's
Right.
like, you
And
know, we've set ourselves up for some disappointment, right? And that's okay, right? I mean, it's part of life, right? Like, life has ebbs and flows, and it has, you know, expansion and contraction, there's rising and falling, you know. And, you
right.
know, in that moment of achievement, that moment of attainment, well, where is the next place that you go, right? There's often a contraction. There's often a
Mm.
sense of
Mm.
disappointment, or, and, you know, like, it
Hmm.
seems to me that you have disrupted part of your equilibrium, right? Because if maybe it took
Yes.
some time to attain what you wanted, right? And so you had that longing, you had that desire, that direction, right? And all of a sudden that's removed, you know, because you got it, right? And so
Yeah.
where does that go? You know, you
Exactly.
can go to something else, right? Because longing is a very fundamental kind of state for our hearts, right? Our hearts are longing for perfection. Our hearts are longing for infinity. Our hearts are love and longing to express and receive that, right? So, you know, there's a lot of longing within us, right? But there's something about changing that state, or, you know, that it seems like we're talking about, you know.
Well, yeah, so there's a lot of different ways that things that can happen. So like first you could totally like have like extreme joy or like, yes, now I finally have the thing that I want.
Right.
Yay. But and even if that happens for a while, at some point, like usually there's a testing experience with this new iteration of yourself. So it's like
Yeah.
Asatar said, like before, when I'm just desiring whatever it is, the opportunity or the relationship, or whatever it might be, maybe the chain, like the status of health or something. But in any case, the longing of that and like the desire for that, like Asatar was saying, is its own equilibrium. You're in your place. You're like, I'm a student and I'm learning or something, and then suddenly, like, you're the teacher, and like,
Or you've
and
graduated,
then
or, yeah.
you've graduated, and now, yeah, now you no longer have like this like version of yourself that's like striving toward that goal, and your ceiling, your previous ceiling has now become your floor. And so in some ways it's like you're discovering your potentials in this moment because there's this new role that you're coming into. And in some ways, it's like you're so disoriented because of that change, that shift of equilibrium, that you're relearning your ground now. So you're basically like relearning it. And I have the tendency, you're relearning yourself, and I have the tendency to put like a lot of emotional emphasis into a certain moment in time, like, oh, it has to be perfect, like this one like thing is the ultimate test, and like I must perform perfectly, and
Hmm.
whatever it might be. And what I've been realizing through exploring this topic is that it's really not about one moment. It's really about the accumulation of moments over time that build the fundamental embodiment, of who we are becoming, of who we are practicing being
Mm.
out in the world, or like our ideal version of that role that we're practicing.
Hmm.
Um, and so just thinking of it more like as this momentary experience of practice, like practicing this new role, practicing being a lover or a beloved, practicing being a mom or a dad, practicing being a friend, like then it kind of takes that pressure off of having to have it like perfect, nailed it, own it, during during the beginning phases of this new beginning of yourself.
Yeah, I mean that's a good point. Like we struggle to. It's like we attain something and we struggle to own it. We struggle
Yeah.
to kind of consolidate our position, or take our seat at the table, or like we fought for that seat, right? But now we have to occupy it. Now we have to
Right.
actually, right, be
Yeah.
there. And it's sort of a different energy. It's like,
Very different. Yeah.
yeah, and that is, it's change is always difficult, right? And so and Hazrat Khan has a great sayings on this, right? It says, there's no kind of change that doesn't bring some pain, because,
Mhm.
right, that's the way it is. And even though it's a change that we wanted, right, we wanted this, um, and yet, here we are, right? And so, and then that
Mhm.
can be confusing, like, well, damn it, I wanted this and now I'm struggling, and what's wrong with me, like, how come
Mm.
I can't just get something I wanted and be happy, or whatever, like.
Mhm.
And it's like, well, you are happy, but life goes on, right? It's not, what are you expecting? You're expecting, happily ever after,
Yeah.
whatever, but not quite how life really is, right? And so, how can we learn from that, right? How can we really take that in, and then, you know, um, help us kind of get it right, because there's a lesson in it, right? There's a lesson in everything, um, and I think that's like what we're trying to do with meditation, right? Like, let's try to just speed up the process of absorbing the lesson. Let's try to get it so that we're not taught the painful lesson again and again, or let our, I mean, we want to get the wisdom from life, right? I mean,
Mhm.
that's part of why we're here, I think. There's so much that we learn, right? So if there's something that can help with that, then let's do it. Let's try it out.
Great.
Gosh, it sounds a lot like an introduction to meditation or something, doesn't
Yeah. Yeah.
it?
Yeah. Um, yeah, I do think because at first it's like we can't, yeah, attaining it is a different experience than sustaining it. So attaining and sustaining are totally two different things. I thought of a story with this with this topic, and I'll just tell it. I'll try to tell it pretty quick here. So I just essentially am thinking about like in yoga. I'm a yogini, and so like there's certain postures that are just wild. It's really difficult to do them, and it takes just like either the right like either like the right teaching or time or a specific
Hmm.
body type even, so it's like all these different factors. And then once you get that pose, like I have this picture of me like in one of these postures. And it's like, yeah, like that's fucking awesome. Great. But the pose has nothing to do with the practice. And like, does that moment of me attaining this like posture, is that me proving that now I'm a yogini, that I'm a yogi? Like, is that it? Is that the moment? Or or is it the moment when I was super sick a few years ago and I couldn't do 10, 15 minutes of yoga without feeling completely exhausted because I was so weak. And like, but I kept practicing. Is that the moment, you know what I mean, when I actually have no access to the
Yeah.
postures, but I'm still practicing. And so like this is the thing, is that the moment that makes me the yogi? Is that the moment that makes me the yogini? And so like there's like this aspect of really looking at these parts of ourselves. It's like, what makes you a friend? I like this example of the friend because it's just so neutral. But
Hmm.
it's like, what makes me a good friend? Like creating love continually with my friends, or because I gave them the perfect birthday gift. Do you know what I mean? It's like one of these things where I just have a lot of a feeling of freedom in the sense that like these roles that we come into is a constant practice. And it's like the accumulation of the moments that creates the embodiment of those qualities that you idealize within yourself.
I'm seeing a kind of training montage right now, like with music and whatever. And so Leah's very sick, but he's still struggling. He's still, doing yoga and whatever. Getting better. Like that. I mean, when you face adversity in your practice and you keep on going through it, I mean,
Mhm.
that is how you get it done, right? I mean, because if you
Yeah.
stop practicing, you stop making progress in whatever, right? So, um, that's a good illustration. Um, well, let's do some meditation, then we'll try to try to work with all of this on an energetic level. So we'll um, we'll just take our good upright posture and arrange yourself so that your back can be upright and your knees are a little bit lower than your hips. That's very helpful. And just feel like your head is being suspended as if by a thread from above. And then you want to tune into your breathing and just feel yourself breathing. Notice your breath. That's the very first step. Be conscious that you are breathing. And in breathing, you are exchanging energy. Breathing in, you are receiving. Breathing out, you are expressing energy. Now become aware of your belly and feel your belly expanding as you breathe in and contracting as you breathe out. So just become aware of your breath in your belly, shifting your focus to diaphragmatic breathing or abdominal breathing. Now focus on making your breath slower, deep and slow. So your breath is deep in your body, not high up in your chest as maybe it is sometimes when you're stressed or tense, but down deep in your body, bringing with it your energy and your attention to a deeper place within you. Deep, slow breathing. You might notice it has an immediate effect on your body, even on your thoughts. Now, we'd also like to make the breath rhythmic and heart-centered. And we can do that by tuning into the heartbeat. So you can place a hand on your heart, either the whole palm on your chest or just the fingertips, and press on your breastbone. And see if you can tune into your heartbeat. Some people can do this very easily, and others have more difficulty with it. If you're not feeling your heartbeat, you can just imagine it. You probably won't be far off. You can also just press lightly with your fingertips, and you might feel that sensation right in your fingertips as your pulse. Now breathe in and count the beats of your heart so that you're breathing in rhythm with your heartbeat. Same number of beats on the inhalation as on the exhalation. And perhaps that rhythm might be 8 beats in, 8 beats out. So try that out. If you do this kind of breathing, then your breath cycle takes 16 breaths. And that is a much, much slower rhythm of breath than is normal. If you breathe in that rhythm, you're taking it, well, it depends on how fast your heart beats, but you're taking maybe 4 breaths a minute, maybe less, um, maybe 5, depending on, 4 or 5 breaths a minute, let's say, right? Usually we take maybe 20, 15, 20. So we're breathing far, far slower, and it gives you time to really savor and appreciate the breath. So notice as you inhale that the inhalation builds in energy from the beginning, the middle, to the end of the inhalation. Now, this is just a fascinating study. There's so much that you can learn from just observing the breath in all of its fullness. And the same with the exhalation. As you breathe out, you notice that the energy at the beginning of the inhalation, of the exhalation is different from that of the middle and that of the end. And the energy builds and builds. Now, the exhalation is that Jalal energy, that expressive energy, the power of our being, the speaking part, the expression part, the energy that we put out into the world. And when you really study your breath, when you really refine it, when you really develop it and develop its power, you are developing your own power at a very fundamental level. And as you shift to the inhalation, this is the Jamal energy, the receptive energy, that which is the listening part, right? We can't just always be speaking, right? We also must listen. We cannot always be giving, we must also receive. We really deepen the breath and make the breath slow and rhythmic. We really feel more in it. Now there's another step to this practice, which is to make the breath full. And that means to squeeze your abdominal muscles on the exhalation and really finish the exhalation. Squeeze out all of the breath as you can. Your abdominal muscles are going to be much, much, much more engaged than they usually are when you breathe. And it takes time to learn how to really squeeze all of that breath out. And then when you come to the inhalation, you don't want to just let that control go. You want to keep that tension going and just bring the breath in a measured, controlled way. Don't let it rush all in. Keep the breath smooth and controlled, like a river that has got a constant flow to it. Then just consider that you're moving from expressing energy, Jalal, on the exhalation, to receiving energy, Jamal, on the inhalation. The Sufis say that the Kamal state, the state that's right in between Jalal and Jamal, Kamal, that is a transitory state, that's a liminal state. And we have to be careful with that. We have to be alert during that. It's a time where energy is changing from one form to another. So as you breathe, study that transitional moment as well. I tell you, the breath is so endlessly fascinating. It's worth a lifetime of study. I mean, I can say that after studying it myself for decades, I'm just continuously learning new things. Now, your mind might wander. Your mind probably will wander. You'll probably have sensations that come up, feelings that come up, perhaps, thoughts that come up, images. Maybe entire stories will unfold. And just consider that all of that is part of this experience. And try to bring the awareness of your breath and the practice of your breath into all of that. Don't lose your focus. Don't forget about your breathing. If you forget about your breathing, you'll stop doing it, or you'll stop doing it as well. Bring your mind back to your breath. Please don't feel bad. Don't feel guilty. Your mind wanders. It's what the mind does. Far, far better to have a mind that does that than to have one that doesn't, because that's not functional, right? Gently bring your thoughts back to your breath and say to yourself, there's a lesson in this. Whatever thought or feeling or image or sensation, even the sounds that you hear that seem to be coming from outside, it all has a meaning. It all has a lesson for you. Now work on the inhalation, receiving and just savoring. We so rarely do we do that. We get what we want and then we're like, next, let's move on. I've got other stuff I want. I'm not pausing here. We want to keep on charging forward, but just appreciate it. What a wonderful thing it is to get what you want. Really, really wonderful. Thank you so much for that. And who are you saying thank you to? Maybe it's to yourself. Maybe it's to those who helped you, who made it happen. Maybe it's to the unseen world. Maybe it's to the world of energy and inspiration. Maybe it's to God, however you conceive of God. The infinite, the perfect, the unlimited. Maybe you just say thank you and let it be a mystery who you're thanking. We are given so many gifts in life. And what a pleasure it is to just savor that. On the exhalation, you can tune into the power of your heart. Right? Your heart is not just sensitive and vulnerable, though it is. It's also very, very powerful. So, and as you exhale, tune into that power. There is a power in desire. There is a power in longing. there's a power in that part of you which says, let's move forward. Let's get it. That comes from your heart too. If you've gotten what you wanted, then you can appreciate that aspect too. Yes, I'm moving forward. Moving forward feels good. How wonderful. Sometimes we don't even realize this power. We don't even realize that we're moving forward until we're sort of stopped, you know, until we come up against something, an obstacle. And that's an opportunity, right? Like, you don't know what your strength is until it's tested.
Mhm.
So you might consider the obstacles as those have been opportunities, those have been gifts, those have shown you your strength. And here you are at the mountaintop, having gotten what you wanted. Your strength was sufficient. That is something to celebrate. And there's something about proving yourself there, isn't there? Very, very wonderful. But there can also be a sense of fear, of anxiety, of like, well, what's next, right? And I think this is more pronounced if you move on too quickly and don't give yourself the time and don't appreciate what this is. So I really recommend spending some time just with saying thank you, that aspect of it, right?
Mm.
But then we move on to, can we hold this? Can we occupy this seat? Are we worthy of this? And I'll tell you, this is something I've often struggled with. It comes from a wounded place in me, a place where I felt undeserving of love. It made me even doubt my own desires at times. I said, well, I want something and I don't trust that because I don't deserve it. Maybe you can relate. It's a pain in your heart. And if a pain like that comes up, a wound like that comes up because our hearts are wounded, that happens. That happens to us all. And you breathe into that pain. You don't try to deny it. You just breathe into it. You don't try to explain it away. You don't even say, it'll be okay. Because sometimes the pain is just beyond what words can say. But your breath is more powerful than that. It's more powerful than anything in your heart. It gives your heart the power that you need to experience, to assimilate, to heal, whatever comes up. Emotions can be so overwhelming, but the power of your deep, slow, rhythmic, heart-centered, full breath, you can really put together all those elements. And I know it's difficult. I know I'm asking you to do a lot with all of this. It really takes some time to master it. But every time you try, you make some progress. And I just know for myself that feeling of just having that overwhelming emotion come up in my heart and feeling that sense that my heart is bigger than that. My heart is bigger than any emotion that flows through it. That's been an extraordinary experience. I want that experience for you. Breathe into your heart and go deeper. Embrace all that's there. Go beyond the judgment of it. Go beyond the categorization of it. Go beyond putting it in boxes. The energy in your heart, the emotion in your heart is way bigger than any box. That energy, that emotion, that well of feeling is infinitely deep, infinitely broad. It goes on forever. Because that's your nature. Perfect, infinite, eternal. Our hearts are the crucible where our unlimited nature confronts the limitation of this world. And with that tension between the unlimited, the perfect, the eternal, and the limited, there is going to be tension, there's going to be contradiction, there's going to be pain. So we don't approach that thinking we're going to get away from it. We approach that thinking it all has a role to play. But of course, it's not all pain. There's some wonderful things in there too. I wouldn't want to tell you, though, that meditation is all bliss, all unicorns and rainbows all the time, because nothing's like that. It's not pain all the time either. There's some incredible moments in there, moments of just staggering joy and peace and power. But you find that by embracing it all. You don't find it by saying, oh, yes, let me just tune into that, that one thing, that narrow little slice of what I call good emotions, good experiences. No. You find it by embracing everything that is within you. The good, the bad, and the ugly, That's how you find the beauty. All right, we'll end our meditation there. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Asatar.
Look at this. We have some comments here from
Yay!
our guests. Akbar Kaduz, when you get to 72, all will be well.
All will be well.
Something to look forward to.
Yeah,
nice to
by
see
then
you, Akbar Kaduz.
You've practiced many roles by that time.
I know, right? And then
but what's your next role, AQ? What's your next role?
What's next? Yeah, exactly.
Thanks for doing this. Yes, thank you for being here.
Thank you for joining us.
I don't know how to pronounce your name. Thank you for being here.
Lovely to see you. And then this is dope. All right. Thank you
Valley Vox Theater. Hey.
Nice to see you.
And thanks for being here. All right. Thank you for that meditation, Alzatar. I actually found it really uplifting. I like sitting on the mountaintop. Metaphorically speaking. And I think you touched into one of the most important topics for the class, and that's the like when you get what you want, then one thing that can potentially happen is that your core wounds are still there. Things have changed, patterns have changed, but your core wounds are still there. And when those core wounds are along the lines of I don't deserve happiness, I don't deserve love,
Yeah.
um, then you're in a little bit of danger of self-sabotaging. And so
Right.
it's important to work with those feelings that come up inside of ourselves, remembering it's really just always a practice. It's like great, I have a relationship, now I need to create the love. So it's not now I have a relationship, now I've finally proven that I'm worthy of love. It's I have a relationship, now I need to create the love.
Yeah.
And so you can plug that into like whatever it is that you're doing now, in the sense that like you're proactively creating it. But I have this story for this like this feeling of deserving happiness or deserving love. So we get to the mountaintop, and then we think to ourselves like, well, shit, I still have this like core wound. I still don't really know if I'm worthy of love or happiness or this opportunity. Um, and I have this funny story of my housemate who is, he's like a retired, he's very young, he's like in his 30s. He's a retired acrobatic performer. And he was even on like America's Got Talent and things like that. And so he tells me this story of like this one performance that he had where it was his worst performance. And afterwards, he was actually had been wounded. And anyway, so afterwards, his director, who's like this like personality, says to him, "You will never have it."
Oh, shit.
Like he's a professional performer, and
Right.
and this guy's like, "You will never have it," and he's
Oof.
like, and he's like, "And that is what makes you an artist." You know? Like, and it's like this aspect of like Ezra says, my housemate says something along the lines of like in that moment, because he had been wounded the day before or something, it's like he didn't know that he had it, and then so like that's why like he didn't perform, and his director's like, "You will never have it."
Uh,
But like,
like in an
but the
ultimate
thing is,
sense, you'll never.
yeah, like
Yeah.
exactly. It's like, and that's what makes you strive. That's like part of
Yeah.
the longing that we have to attain these things, is like
Mm,
so that we like continue to create, continue to strive, continue to thrive. And so I find it very playful, because it kind of takes like the pressure off. It's like the horizon is always expanding.
yeah.
The
Yeah.
horizon, you're never going to reach the
You
horizon.
can't reach it. Yeah.
Yeah, and at the same time, the opposite is also true. So it's like you'll never have it, and then at the same time, you're already enough.
Yeah.
So I can do my peak posture in yoga. I'm enough. I deserve happiness. I deserve love. I can't do 10 minutes of yoga. I still deserve happiness. I still am worthy of love. And so it's just like I just wanted to kind of put these sentiments in, for those of us who, which is most of us, like who have this experience of like,
Right.
am I worthy?
Very common, right? Isn't it? I mean, it's
Yeah.
yeah. And lots of things can touch on it. I mean, that's the reality, right? I mean, because a failure can touch on it too, right? So like our theme is like you got what you wanted, right? I mean, that's a success
Hmm.
moment, um,
Hmm.
but that's not the only thing that can trigger that unworthiness. But it's sort of a surprise though, because you're like, this is supposed to be all good, why am I
Right.
you know why am
This
I
was
going
supposed to
through
fix
this
my
right
core belief system.
now? Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So changing the core belief system, or at least working on that in meditation, the core belief system that you are worthy of happiness and love at any given moment, whether it's your best performance or worst performance, whether
Yeah.
you're on top of the mountain or you're about to fall back off it.
Well, it's also like, love is something that we are, right? Love is our nature, like we
Mm,
cannot
mm.
help loving, right? We cannot help longing to receive that. We cannot help giving that, right? Um, but the pain is that sometimes we're not met, I mean, sometimes we love
Mm.
somebody who's not going to return that love. I mean, and how painful is that, right? It's
Right,
enormously painful, right? So,
right.
you know,
But that person in that moment don't dictate whether you are worthy of love as an individual.
right, right. I mean, we
Yes.
don't, it's like rain falls on the just and the unjust, right? Like love
Right.
isn't something you earn actually, right? Love is something
Yes.
that exists, right? It's there.
It's
Um,
like the sunshine.
the sun
Just
shines. Yeah.
always,
Yeah.
it's always available to
You can never really earn it, anyway, right? Thank God, right? Earning stuff,
Yeah.
that's capitalism, right? Oh, you got to earn your daily bread, whatever. That's not love.
That's how they get us. Oh my
Yeah,
god.
that's how they get us.
Oh, it makes so much sense now, actually. Um, oh, well, let's meditate before. Was there anything else you wanted to say before we meditate? I guess.
No, we're doing great,
Okay.
Leah. We're doing great. We deserve this.
Wow. I have reached the pinnacle. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I'm super theatrical tonight, obviously. Okay, people, thank you for staying with me. We're going to be doing the rebirthing breath practice. For anybody who knows what that is, which I don't expect you to know what that is, make your way into your posture. So, as you're ready, come into a comfortable seated position. And let's see, um, I'm a little bit taller than I was a minute ago. I came into a different posture than usual. Anyway, TMI. So, go ahead and close your eyes as you're ready. And you just want to establish the posture. And so this is such a perfect example. Even in this moment, you're showing up. And you've even committed yourself so much to showing up that you are coming into a posture. You're assuming the position, you're ready. And so to me, in a way, that's almost like 80 or 90% of the work. You've shown up to your practice. And whatever role that you are playing right now, or whatever role in life that you wish to play for others, for yourself, whatever archetype you want to embody, whichever qualities that you want to share. That's almost a moment of freedom and not constriction. That's a moment of letting life live through you. And so, right now, you can practice that too by deepening your breathing. Deep breathing, your deep breath is you letting life move and live through you. And if you can, begin to breathe in rhythm with your heartbeat, maybe even placing a word, an affirmation, or just a word that brings you a lot of peace, maybe even the word Shanti, Sanskrit for peace. Placing that word on your heartbeat as you breathe in rhythm with your heartbeat. If your practice is not up to that bar right now, and I don't mean it as in it just takes time to learn. You're spinning a lot of wheels when you're able to breathe in rhythm with your heartbeat. And if that's not happening for you today, that's okay. Tune into your heart wherever you are and deepen your breathing. And wherever you are in your journey, I want to invite you to feel a fullness in your heart of the role, the identity that you most wish to embody right now, that you most wish to have, to attain, and to hold, to sustain. Really feeling your heart's connection to that role and to that intention of bringing that role to life in your most truest sense, in your most ideal sense of what that means to you. So, in other words, I want you to really imagine that you already own it and feel the owning of it, feel the embodiment, feel the connection to that role in your heart as you breathe deeply in this moment. You wouldn't long for becoming that which you are becoming if it wasn't already inside of you, if it wasn't already connected to the center of your being. And then we're going to do a technique called the rebirthing practice. And so, what you are going to imagine, you need really deep breath for this. So, full, deep belly breathing, really allowing the breath to come into the depth of your torso as if water is filling up a glass. So, you feel your breath almost like this stream of water, and it's coming all the way to the depth of your torso. So, the bottom of the glass, that is you. And as you do this, as you breathe full deep breath, imagining, especially on your inhalation to begin, with each inhalation, that you begin at the very base of your spine, your tailbone. And as you inhale right into the tailbone area, and you start to breathe circularly and up around your spine. So it's if I start from the very base of my spine, and then as I inhale, I imagine the energy of my breath moving, and I try to feel the energy of my breath moving circularly through my torso, up circularly around my spine, and really trying to feel that in my body. And it might take a few cycles of breath before I finally make my way all the way to my heart, all the way to my throat, my mind, and my crown chakra, the rim of my consciousness. And then as you exhale, so this for the inhalation, and you can take as many breaths as you want. It's almost like your breath is just washing all the things inside you, renewing it, washing out the old and nourishing the new. And you're just slowly making that washing and that revivification, that energizing at the same time, washing and energizing energy all the way up, even above your heart, throat, mind, all the way up and around your crown. And then, as you're ready with the exhalation, what you want to do with the exhale, you imagine it's almost like it could be light, it could be something else, but you imagine it coming up out of your crown and circling around you in a perfect sphere, all the way around you, and then coming all the way back down to your root center, your root chakra, the base of your spine, your tailbone. And then again, so you could do this with several breaths with each part, but over time you could technically inhale, moving from the base of the spine circularly up through your body, all the way to the crown on one inhalation. And then exhaling from your crown up and around in a big, large sphere, circling around your body and then making its way back into your root chakra, circulating all of the energy. Energizing, washing out the old and nourishing the new. Because this process of embodying this new iteration of yourself, this process of embodying even the more idealistic version of the role you already play, you have to almost let the energy of this new identity, of this new role, you have to let the energy of that circulate from head to toe, and in this case, from tailbone to crown. Giving it its space, giving it its time to grow, to stem, to bloom, and to become fragrant, and to become fruitful. And it's like we can leave the effects to the cause. So you have to trust your breath in this moment, whoever that you are, whomever that I'm connecting with right now. You have to trust your breath in this moment. You've shown up. You've committed yourself to your practice. And now you let life live through you with the intentions you've set for what it is that you really want to share, grow, nourish, and sustain, and to hold. And then as you're ready, move your body and open up your eyes.
Lovely meditation. Thank you, Leah.
Thank you, everyone, for meditating this evening with us.
I think we've really answered the question. You've gotten what you wanted. Why is it so fucking hard? We've now that we have the definitive answer and what to do, you know?
Yeah, just keep swimming, basically.
Yeah.
And
Well,
yeah.
we're here every week with the show. We do this live so that you can tune in and catch the vibe, but of course it's recorded so that you know, those who tune in later can still catch some of the vibe, or I don't know. We don't know like how it works exactly, but
We don't understand exactly how time and space works, but
yeah, the energy seems to continuously flow. So
yeah.
that's what we aim for.
Yeah.
um, we also have a Patreon page. Link is in the description. You know, we go through and do a whole course if you want the step-by-step thing, and you know, we also teach that here every week. But you know, we
Mhm.
do all kinds of things, right? We build on the foundation of heart rhythm meditation, and then add lots of other things, right? Like what Leah did, to work with the energy in particular ways. So it's a practice that is kind of endlessly customizable, and you know,
Yeah.
that's one of the things that I think we both enjoy as teachers is really trying to tune a practice to like a particular, you know, need that's going on right now.
Mhm.
So thank you all again
Yes.
for joining us. Lovely to sit with you, and
Yes.
we'll be back next week. Namaste.
Thank you so much, everyone. And you are already enough, and you'll also never have it. So good luck.
To
Okay.
summarize,
Yeah.
good summary.
Bye.
Bye,
Thank you.
everyone.